Please help our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share.
Welcome to the Dead-Celebs podcast with your hosts, Brent Novak and Tana Satterley.
For a complete list of all of the celebrities who died, please visit our Facebook page, the Dead-Celebs podcast. Celebrities who died in April 2024.
Joe Flaherty, the actor and comedian who played the Weir family patriarch on Freaks and Geeks after several years as a writer-performer of SCTV, died on April 1st after a brief illness. Flaherty began his career at the legendary Second City Comedy Troupe in Chicago. After a year of appearing on the National Lampoon Radio Hour, he relocated to Toronto, where he starred on the hit Canadian sketch comedy show SCTV as one of its original writer-performers. He was joined by fellow comedic performers Eugene Levy, John Candy, Dave Thomas, Catherine O'Hara, Rick Moranis, and more. Flaherty went on to appear in several TV shows, including his memorable role as an embarrassing yet well-intentioned Harold Weir on Freaks and Geeks. He also made brief but memorable appearances in several hit films, including Happy Gilmore and Back to the Future Part 2. Flaherty's additional credits include Police Academy, the series, The King of Queens, Clone High, and the Canadian series Call Me Fitz. He was 82.
Keith LeBlanc, the drummer and record producer who worked with some of the most prominent musicians of the 1980s and 1990s, died on April 4th from an undisclosed illness. Born in 1954, LeBlanc worked with seminal early hip-hop acts like the Sugar Hill Gang and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five as a session drummer on Sugar Hill Records in the early 1980s. His 1983 solo single, No Sellout, famously sampled the voice of Malcolm X and is considered one of the first mainstream recordings to utilize sampling. LeBlanc was also a member of the groups Tackhead and Little Axe and recorded with Tina Turner, REM, Nine Inch Nails, Annie Lennox, and Seal in the late 80s and 90s. He was 69.
Carl Jeffrey C.J. Snare, a founding member of the hair metal band Firehouse, died on April 5th. News of Snare's death comes 6 months after the group announced plans to postpone gigs ahead of his impending abdominal surgery. Snare was an original member of the glam metal band, which was founded in the mid-80s, but truly made a splash with the release of their self-titled album in 1990. The record boosted such topping hits as Don't Treat Me Bad and Love of a Lifetime, both of which were co-written by Snare. The group released 8 studio albums in total, with Snare co-writing most of the tracks. Outside of Firehouse, he also recorded with his band Rubicon Cross and occasionally played with scrap metal. He was 64.
Mr. C, the New York radio personality and DJ who helped launch the careers of hip-hop artists including Jay-Z, Alicia Keys, and 50 Cent, was confirmed dead on April 10th. Born Calvin LeBrun, Mr. C spent more than 20 years at Hot 97 as the host of shows such as Throwback at Noon and Friday Night Live. He played a major role in the discovery of the Notorious B.I.G. and served as associate executive producer on the rapper's 1994 debut, Ready to Die. After leaving Hot 97 in 2014, Mr. C continued his work in radio, hosting a show on 94.7 The Block, and working as a DJ on Rock the Bells radio on Sirius XM. He was 57.
ojsimpson, controversial football star, actor, and former murder suspect O.J. Simpson, who was acquitted in his high-profile 94-95 trial over the deaths of his wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman, died on April 10th. Simpson's family announced the news on social media, confirming that he had died after a battle with cancer. Simpson's death drew a wide range of reactions, including from Brown Simpson's family attorney Gloria Alford, who spoke out against him after the news broke. "I don't mourn for O.J. Simpson. I do mourn for Nicole Brown Simpson and her family," Alford told New York City's ABC 7 News. "They should be remembered. The system failed." He was 76. Man, they didn't talk about his life at all in this little paragraph. Like nothing.
No, they did not.
Nothing. He had the most rushing yards in a season, I think, or in a game or some crazy. Like
Oh,
he had some
really?
he had a lot of records. Like
Oh,
He
wow.
was he was an amazing football player. For a while, he was one of the best running backs ever.
Oh,
But like,
gosh.
not like mention Naked Gun, nothing. Like,
Yeah.
what did the attorney say? He's a, he's an idiot. Like
Yeah.
that's it. And
Yeah. That's
we don't
terrible.
even know he did it. Like, I mean, he did it, but he wasn't convicted. I think he did it, but like
I do too.
that's his
Yeah.
that's his eulogy in here. Like, wow.
I know. Parkboram, the Korean pop singer behind hits like Beautiful and Like a Dream, died on April 11th. Her death is being investigated by police. Other outlets, including the Korean Herald, reported that Park was found in cardiac arrest at a friend's house and was taken to a hospital. Born in 1994, Park's breakthrough came with her 2010 appearance on the singing competition series Superstar K2, where she placed in the top 8. Her 2014 debut single Beautiful hit number 2 on the Korean charts. Though she never released a full-length album, Park released 2 EPs, 2015's Celebrity and 2017's Orange Moon, and over a dozen singles. She was 30.
Robert McNeil, the longtime PBS anchorman, died on April 12th. McNeil worked for decades with Jim Lehrer, was the voice through which many Americans learned about some of the most important events in American history. McNeil and Lehrer earned an Emmy for the coverage of the Watergate hearings in 1973, shortly before launching the award-winning news program, the McNeil-Lehrer Report. It became the McNeil-Lehrer News Hour in 1983, the first hour-long news program in the U.S. before being decorated with Emmy and Peabody Awards. McNeil, as a White House correspondent, was in President John F. Kennedy's motorcade on the day of his assassination. During his career, he covered the war in Algeria, the construction of the Berlin Wall, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Civil Rights Movement, dozens of other pivotal stories in American history. He was 93.
Eleanor Coppola, the award-winning documentarian, noted visual artist, and longtime wife of Francis Ford Coppola, died on April 12th. Born Eleanor Jessie Neal, Coppola was known for chronicling the making of films by her husband and 2 of their children, Roman Coppola and Sofia Coppola. The couple's eldest child, actor and producer Giancarlo Coppola, died in a boating accident in 1986. Eleanor Coppola shot and directed one of the most famous documentaries on filmmaking ever with Hearts of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse, a behind-the-scenes look at her husband's famously fraught shoot for Apocalypsenow. The Emmy-winning doc candidly captured heavy rains that delayed production, a typhoon that destroyed sets, Martin Sheen's heart attack, and on-set struggles with Marlon Brando. She would go on to make more documentaries, including ones about her daughter's films, Marie Antoinette and The Virgin Suicides, and helmed 2 narrative features, 2016's Paris Can Wait and 2020's Love is Love is Love. In addition to making movies and raising a family of filmmakers, Coppola wrote 2 books, Notes on the Making of Apocalypsenow, and the memoir Notes on a Life. At 87, she completed a second memoir in which she wrote, "I appreciate how my unexpected life has stretched and pulled me in so many extraordinary ways and taken me in a multitude of directions beyond my wildest imaginings." She was 87.
Dicky Betts, the founding member and guitarist of the Allman Brothers band, died on April 18th. Betts died of cancer and chronic obstruction pulmonary disease. Despite not being an Allman, Betts was one of the Allman Brothers' key original members whose work was critical on the group's pioneering sound. Following the death of fellow guitarist Duane Allman 2 years after the group's debut album, Betts assumed lead guitar duties on the lead band with Greg Allman. He also composed music and penned songs for the group, including their biggest hit, Ramblin' Man. While Betts and Allman often clashed, the band broke up multiple times and had more than a dozen lineup configurations. The duo frequently reunited and toured together. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1995. They reconciled before Allman's death in 2017, just months after the death of bandmate Butch Trucks. Betts also performed as Dicky Betts in The Great Southern and briefly played as Betts, Hall, Level, and Trucks in the 1980s. With Jimmy Hall, the Allman Brothers member Chuck Level, and Trucks. He was 80.
Mandisa, American Idol Season 5 star and Grammy-winning Christian singer who also courted controversy for making anti-gay comments in 2006, died on April 18th. The religious performer rose to national stardom after her Idol audition with Alicia Keys' Fallen wowed judges Randy Jackson, Paula Abdul, and Simon Cowell. Though she was ultimately eliminated from the singing competition, she forged a successful career in music, earning 5 Grammy nominations, including 1 victory for Best Contemporary Christian Music Album in 2014 for her Overcomer album. She was 47. So Mandisa's song Overcomer was a great help to my daughter as she was going through cancer treatment. It was a very positive, uplifting song, and we enjoyed all of Mandisa's songs, but that one especially. So this one hits hard for us.
Terry Carter, the groundbreaking actor, documentary filmmaker, and newscaster with screen credits including Battlestar Galactica, McCloud, and Foxy Brown, died April 23rd. Born John Everett DeCoste, Carter studied acting with Howard De Silva in the early 1950s and played a number of roles in Broadway and off-Broadway stage productions during his early career, including Mrs. Patterson, in which he appeared opposite Eartha Kitt. His breakthrough screen project was The Phil Silvers Show, on which he played Private Sugie Sugarman from 1955 to 1959 and was the only regular black cast member. Carter served as an anchorman for Boston NBC affiliate network WBZ-TV from 1965 to 1968, making him New England's first black news anchor. He portrayed Pam Grier's boyfriend in Foxy Brown in 1974 and a cop in the dog-centric family film Benji, and played Colonel Ty in the sci-fi series Battlestar Galactica in the late 70s and Sergeant Joe Broadhurst on McCloud for 7 seasons. Carter launched his own production company, Metaphor Productions, in Los Angeles in 1975. He and his company produced more than 100 educational documentaries, some of which were for the Library of Congress, PBS, and the National Endowment for the Arts. He was 95.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah, he had a pretty...
More than 100 educational documentaries? That's fantastic.
He did way more than O.J. Simpson did.
He sure did. Mike Pinder, a founding member and keyboardist of progressive rock band the moodyblues, died on April 24th. He was the last surviving member of the band's original lineup. In 1961, Pinder formed the band alongside singer and guitarist Denny Lane, bassist Clint Warwick, and drummer Graham Edge. After a few lineup changes, the moodyblues would go on to release one of the greatest concept albums of all time, 1967's Days of Future Past, which featured Pinder singing and playing the mellotron. He would go on to pen and perform songs on the band's next 7 albums before eventually parting ways with the group. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with his bandmates in 2018. He was 82.
Check out our sister podcast, Talk Murder to Me. Step into the captivating world of true crime with an unexpected twist of humor. With John's compelling narrative and Jen and Nicole's amazing banter, this podcast offers an entertaining and unique approach to true crime storytelling. Talk Murder to Me can be found on any podcast platform, also streaming live Saturdays on YouTube. For a legal disclaimer, please visit www.dead-celebs.com. The Actor Factor brings the industry knowledge to you firsthand from professionals, including working actors, directors, managers, and more. Find it anywhere podcasts are streamed.
If you are struggling with thoughts of suicide, please reach out. Help is available. Dial 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.